I'm getting killed by 12-year-olds while I'm playing Fortnite, and I have an idea of the way an S and a K could play together. And I'm thinking about the way the main bar of the K could swing back around to the left and come up and be the bottom swoop for an S. So in the beginning of the sketch, I like to just try and block everything out. And with a general sense of how the letters are going to sit and play with each other, then it's just a question of refining. In the course of the block out, I realized that the K and the R are so similar that they'd end up throwing the rhythm of the whole letter structure off. I needed to find a way for them to be partners, not twins, so they would play off of each other instead of just being the same shape repeated again, which I think would be way too visually dominating. So at this point, the letters are basically set up, and in this case, I know I definitely want something that's got a little bit more energy and a little bit more power to it, so it's a good time to start adding some hints of bars and arrows and where those things should go, and get a feel for whether they're going to help or not. So here on the second layer, it's time to be a little bit more decisive and pick some lines out from the mash of sketchy lines from the layer below, and start really refining the letters a little bit more. And here you can see I'm still not completely happy with the K, so I switched the bar up at the last minute and let that live for a little while. As the K is simmering in the back of my mind, I add a few modifications to each letter. I just want to make sure that there isn't some possibility that I've overlooked. And this is about where it gets left off for the night. When I come back to it the next day, the K situation is still kind of killing me, so we do some drastic measures, do a little cut and separate, and get a little K that seems to, for me, feels like it's working a little bit better. There's a little bit more space to it. The top of it has a little room to flex. And we're on to the third layer, where it's time for as much decisiveness as possible. Hopefully this is going to be the last one. Of course, you got to throw little tags in there. But yet there's still some editing here and there, few changes here and there just to see how things are going to look. Sometimes I'll move those changes up onto a new layer and just kind of do them on top of what's existing. Sometimes we do it on the same layer if you really think you're going to commit to it. But once the adjustments are done, they're all squished down onto the same layer, and we've got what feels like it's going to be the final outline. You always have to be careful when you're working digitally not to fall into the pit of the infinite edit, where you can just continue to change things over and over again and never have to commit to anything. When it comes to the color, there are lots of different directions you can go, depending on what you want to do. Sometimes the pieces about the color and the way the color is going to be used and the letters, in that case, sort of become secondary. In this particular case, I want the letters to be the focus, so I just tried to keep the colors as simple as possible, although I did add a little yellow fade. And then as I went, of course, I had to add a few little Barney Rubble rocks. And then a few subtle lines inside just to try to add a little depth to the fill. Then it's time for the drop shadow and going around just making sure all the shadows are shadowed. And of course I missed one of the pieces inside the bar. Wouldn't be a wrath work without a little accidental omission. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you got any comments or questions, hit me up down below. Peace.